22nd, 2024 marked a turning point in the maritime industry for women as stakeholders in the area of maritime security came in their numbers to witness the launch of Women in Maritime Security, WIMS Nigeria, whose visionary in the person of Mrs. Rollins McFoy is an expert in the maritime industry for over 20 years. She is the current president of Women in Maritime Africa WIMA Nigeria chapter and the CEO of Ocean Deep Services Limited. She is the first woman in Nigeria to own a crewing and manning maritime company and a maritime training institute, Ocean Deep Maritime Academy, affiliated to the Mullins University. She has empowered over 100 youths and young adults in the maritime industry.
Women in Maritime Security happens to be the first of such organization in the world. And it was vetted today, 2nd May 2024. It came up as a result of the code developed by KAIPTC that have studied over the years to research and to see how women can be properly integrated into the maritime sector, and not just the maritime sector, but the security aspect of it. And they've worked on it, and the code has been accepted. Today, NIMASA, which is our governing authority for maritime, joined them to launch this code to see how women will also be integrated, trained, promoted, and how they can specialize and be properly placed in this maritime security industry that is fast becoming the in thing. You all know that without maritime security, the blue economy is not going to work. It cannot work because the vessels will not have free passage. They'll have problems with terrorism, drug trafficking, armed robbery, piracy, and all that. So maritime security is an integral part of blue economy, and the success of blue economy is domiciled in maritime security. So today, it has been officially launched that women can enter into maritime security. It has become today a code, and it is a course of interest. That's why we are here today. So we enjoin everyone around the world and Nigeria to come join us in this battle. Like was said today by NIMASA, that it's a relay and the baton has been handed over to us. And we are ready to take the challenges and to go further from here. Thank you.
Representatives from KAIPTC from Ghana, representatives from Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, representatives of female maritime associations, which includes Women in Maritime Security, WIMS Nigeria, Women in Maritime Africa, WIMA Nigeria Chapter, Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, WISTA Nigeria, Female Seafarers Association of Nigeria, FESAN. Other maritime security outfits spearheaded by women were also represented. Some include Ocean Deep Services and Avant-Garde, amongst others. Dr. Oduayo Ani, representing NIMASA, who also doubles as president of WISTA Nigeria, welcomed all present to this groundbreaking event for women in maritime security.
On behalf of the board, dear esteemed guests and maritime colleagues, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, executives, and members of the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, WISTA Nigeria, I warmly welcome you to the highly anticipated dissemination and launch event of the Maritime Code of Practice for Women in Maritime Security. Today, we gather to celebrate a significant milestone in our commitment to fostering inclusivity, equality, and safety within the maritime industry. I have a feeling of great excitement and pleasure to embark on this journey with each of you as we work together to ensure a brighter, more equitable future for all. Welcome, and let us commence this important occasion with enthusiasm and dedication. The sea has long been a domain of boundless opportunity and formidable challenges. Yet, for too long, the contributions of women in this field have been overlooked. Their potentials untapped. Today we turn the tide. Yes. Today we chart a new course that recognizes the vital role women play in maritime security. Thank you. The Maritime Code of Practice we unveil is more than a document. It is a commitment to change, a beacon guiding us towards a future where women are empowered to stand at the helm, to navigate through storms, and to live with strength and wisdom. As we launch this code, we acknowledge the waves of progress made by those who sailed before us, the women who broke through barriers, and the allies who supported their journey. Let this code be a compass that directs our actions, a map that leads us to uncharted waters where equality and diversity thrive. Let it be a declaration that in the realm of maritime security, women are not just participants, they are pioneers, they are leaders, and they are vanguard of a more prosperous, a just and prosperous industry. To the women in maritime security, this code is your anchor and your wings. It is a testament to your resilience and a pledge to your advancement. May it uplift you, may it protect you, and may it inspire you to reach new horizons. And to all present, let us embrace this code with the resolve to implement its principles, to uphold its values, and to ensure that the tides of opportunity rise for all. Welcome to a new era in maritime security. Welcome to a future where every woman's potential is recognized, where every contribution is valued, and where every achievement is celebrated. Thank you for being part of this historic launch. Together, we set sail towards a brighter, more inclusive tomorrow. Thank you.
Presentations were made on the importance of the code in guiding the practices of women in maritime security.
This program that we are all here for is the second in a series of 7 ceremonies in which a pioneering document concerning the welfare and advancement of women in the maritime domain will be launched in 7 countries, namely Cameroon, Congo Brazzaville, Nigeria, Ghana, La Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Senegal. Ladies and gentlemen, UN Security Council Resolution 1325 urges all actors to increase the participation of women and incorporate gender perspectives in all peace and security efforts. Today, we have extended the principles of 1325 into the maritime security domain by producing a set of guiding principles that should guide decision makers in the maritime domain to preserve and promote the welfare and advancement of women in the maritime domain, especially in the Gulf of Guinea. Indeed, women in the maritime industry deserve career protection, preservation of their welfare, as well as promotion of their interests. The latter includes master's and doctoral level studies offerings to African peace and security practitioners and those in the rest of the world. Again, the KAIPTC is already involved very deeply in shaping the women, peace and security agenda by setting up and operationalizing the Women, Youth, Peace and Security Institute, which is headed by my colleague, Patience. And this institute is contributing in shaping policy and practice in support of the advancement of the WPS agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, this activity for which we are gathered today is a product of an inter-regional maritime security project supported by the government of Denmark for coastal West and Central African countries. We extend our deepest appreciation to the government of Denmark for supporting the project on integrated responses to threats to maritime safety and security in the Gulf of Guinea maritime domain in West and Central Africa, which is a 5-year project running from 2022 to 2026. It is this project that has produced this code of practice for women in the maritime security domain. Now, a bit of detail on the code of practice. The code of practice covers issues such as gender equality and empowerment, equal participation, human rights and dignity, diversity and inclusion, conflict sensitivity, local ownership and sustainability, and cultural sensitivity, among others.
Women possess unique capabilities which should find expression in every facet of life. How many of us agree with that? Okay, so there are men in this room, and I just want to acknowledge the fact that both men and women, they possess unique capabilities which should be utilized. But do you know what the problem is? While the men, they have platforms where they are expressing themselves, making contributions and participating in governance and all those things we talk about, but women, they don't have that opportunities. So that's why, codes like this are very, very important, because as in they provide a platform for women to seek greater participation. So I've said here that the commitment of the code to ensure that women's distinctive requirements and contributions are acknowledged, cherished, and synergized into overreaching strategies concerning peace and security in the Gulf of Guinea is commendable. So the code, it actually mainstreams into the maritime governance and security sector. The UN, like we have heard this morning already, the UN Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security. The code also builds on the work already being done by ECOWAS and ECAS for the implementation of the UN Security Council resolutions. That's the action plans by these organizations. So I've had a glossary look at the code, and it makes provision for 15 subject matters designed to guide and inform efforts and actions towards the advancement and welfare of women in West and Central Africa's maritime domain. The economic importance of the maritime domain to the Gulf of Guinea cannot be overstated. In 2023, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, upon assuming office, he took the bold step of creating the new Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy in a bid to optimize potentials and increase the contributions of the maritime sector to Nigeria's gross domestic product. The President has also underlined the critical role of the blue economy in the collective prosperity of African nations, emphasizing that the sector holds immense potential for the entire continent. I am hopeful that women will be well represented in the efforts in this regard, as the President had earlier expressed, as President Tinubu, he had expressed the intent that equity and fairness to women will be a top priority of his government. In his words, and I quote, "If Nigeria is to reach its full potential, we must give every person and segment of the population a fair chance to make their best contribution." That's what we're asking for. Give us a fair chance to contribute like the men. So I will end my remarks by quoting Jane Addams, the renowned American world peace advocate, who stated that action indeed is the sole medium of expression of ethics. If we are all in consensus as to the significance of this code of ethics, which I am certain we are, amplifying the message of this code to see that it shapes a culture of women participation in the maritime security domain therefore becomes a collective responsibility for everyone present here today. Taking action in this regard will require maritime organizations within the Gulf of Guinea, led by the women, to take ownership of this code by adopting same and developing a roadmap towards actualizing the intent of the code, which is consistent with goals 5 and 16 of the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Members of WIMS Nigeria, including guests present at the event, shared their disturbing stories and experiences regarding the unfair treatment of women, especially the up-and-coming female maritime practitioners in the industry, and the need for a fair inclusion, with a hope that the code will help to protect women in the maritime space.
I would just like to find out if this code will also apply to employment of more women on board vessels, because from some of the findings that someone like me have done in the past, most of the vessels are more suited to male. The ship owners are always having these issues of just giving one particular deck for a woman instead of having more males on board. So that's really made more female seafarers disadvantaged. Will this code, touch that area too?
My concern is if that code protects the rights for shipping companies to have a particular percentage of women, just like we're doing on the other side, other sectors. There are some sectors who have put it in their own practice, their own policies, that we have a number of percentage of women you should, have, especially on the high senior executives, and then the number of women should employ at a particular time. So I would want, if it's not there, that we consider that women should be given a good percentage. The shipping company should be given, that right to employ more women, and especially in view of the fact that there is a growing dearth in the number of seafarers globally, and we see there's a lot of concerted efforts by shipping nations to grow their own capacity. So if this would be considered in the wider scale, that would be very good. Thank you.
The code, this is just a code for us to look at and say, okay, this is a process for us to work. But the flag state has a lot to do. I'm always saying it every day. I was with Edie Emmanuel Kabutai last 2 weeks, and I said something. Women, I'm so passionate about the gender equality. I don't know, I'm so passionate about the girl child. And when I see the younger females coming out from the academy, coming out from the NSPDP program, and you see them walking around, no job, no company is ready to take these younger ones, I'm always having this pain inside of me. The goal is just for us to have a Bible to work on. Then the flag state have a lot to do. Madam Vivian said something. What is the quota for women in the maritime industry, especially the seafarer? That is the most important thing. What do we have? NIMASA has the power to tell every liners, to tell every stakeholders, if you are not taking 5%, 10% of females on board, you are not going to trade. That's all. If we can put this as a code, for me, it is the flag state should put this. You have a lot of talented female seafarers. I have them on my vessel. I have 30 of them now.
What are the key performance indicators that will ensure that this code of conduct is followed? When I started as a cadet, there were times I didn't have people to talk to until I met the likes of Madam McFoy, Madam Coney, and the rest of them in the industry. They acted as guidance. They helped us. So, in as much as we have this code, who is there to checkmate that this code is working? Who is there to measure that what is intended for this code is coming into place? Who is there to say, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that? So, in as much as IMO brings up rule, we have the different conventions, different resolutions. We have the UN resolution, the MST, and all that. What makes those things to stand is because the IMO has mandated the flag state that they must follow it.
Can this code become like one of the IMO model codes that could be also introduced to maritime institutes and academies, so that other seafarers will be familiar and be familiar with the code? It's just us here hearing about it. So how do we get to tell others about this code? How do they get to know that there's a code called Maritime Code of Practice for women in maritime, or women in maritime security? So how do we, take this code to them? So I believe if it is introduced into the institutions and academics, more women will be, or more seafarers, will get to know the code and understand the things that are in it, and possibly tell their company, and if possible, everything then works out as planned out from the code. Thank you very much.
There's need for us to continue to advocate for more room for us to play in that space. Everywhere in the world, you always talk about public-private partnerships. If you are going to make our maritime domain, our workspace secured, you have to work with private practitioners. There's a lot of experience, there's a lot of capacity in those groups. And we're having challenges opening up that space so that we can practice. So recently, or some time back, some of us came together, we formed an association. I don't know if there's anybody here from MASPAN. If anybody has heard of MASPAN, Maritime Security Providers Association of Nigeria. So that was essentially half my brainchild as a way of galvanizing participation in that space, and let us advocate for us to be able to do more in that space. I was happy to hear that something is happening as per crafting the blue economy blueprint and all of that. I'm hoping that we can all work together to see how we can make inputs and make ourselves be heard, so that we can play in that space. I'm saying this because of the women in maritime security. If you are going to be able to be effective and get some of your objectives achieved, let us all come together. Let us work together and see how we can advocate more to be players in that space.
You speaking today, I'm thinking, how can I bring in my security professional know-how? Terry, who just finished speaking earlier, he's been one of the pioneers of the ISPS code, and my company, we have been an RSO for over 8 years now. And I'm not just saying that women should be given opportunities, but there should be equity, fairness. And I can tell you that my company is in category A of those who conduct port facility security assessment on behalf of NIMASA, going to all these companies, Chevron, Mobil, and some of them. So it's important that, even in that space, I know how long it takes for them to give me a job as a woman, and I know how they share these jobs amongst themselves, and it is okay, but it's also good that when they say professionals, when they want to send someone to a place where they need competence, they would think about me, because they know that my reports come in really clean. And it's a good thing that we're having these conversations today, and I look forward to participating in the forums where you discuss maritime security, and I'll bring in my experience on the table. I joined WISA last year, and I look forward to working with you.
The visionary of WIMS Nigeria, Mrs. Rollins McFoy, alongside other members of the high table, were decorated as she gave her remarks.
Talking about maritime security, I want to come from the practical aspect. Nigeria, I think, adopted this in 2013. When in 2014, being a prime crane company, when in 2012, our crews were being dropped by other countries that have vessels here for not having, ISPS and all that. I spoke to the then DJ, and I spoke to precious memory, Mrs. Moa, who was the director for Maritime Labor at that time, and MLC in NIMASA. And I was told, what are you talking about? And I said, this is what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. And we argued a little bit, and I put it in writing, and I sent to NIMASA. And thus the journey started. And before you know it, the first training was heralded by NIMASA. So I'll say that from the inception of maritime security in this country, it has been my interest. And no wonder I'm still following it. Coming from SOLAS, safety of life at sea was what we had initially. Yes, and after the event of 9/11, it was discovered that SOLAS was not enough, because it's just about safety of life at sea. Then what about the security? Then IMO's embassy went into their room and came up with ISPS. Shortly after they came up with ISPS, they came up with maritime security to encompass all. And this started going. And some people were like, what is it? But then that was when the Gulf of Guinea was very hot. You can't even do nothing.
in some of the areas. Illegal fishing was major. You have terrorism, you have oil theft, you have human trafficking, you have, quite a lot going on, impeding movement in the sea and impeding the, economy, which is the benefit of the blue economy. You can see that even the world blue economy the blue economy has been existing before the world blue economy came. But the world terrorism, maritime security was also so big that it swallowed blue economy. So it was when security was being battled, and then we are getting a headway and improving, then comes the blue economy, which we all hope will turn into the green economy. As we know that maritime houses over 95% of the world economy. Everything revolves around the water. So today, we are here happy to say that illegal fishing, environmental crimes, illegal seaborne immigration, maritime transport threats, armed robbery, marine pollution, port security, illegal maritime trade, and illegal interstate trade is going to be stopped. Being recognized by the different countries, being recognized by Denmark, IMO itself, Africa, and they're carrying this crusade. We want to say a very, very big thank you to them. And we also want to say a very, very big thank you to our own maritime authority, because if they had not accepted it and want to domesticate it, we will not be here. Today also, incidentally, heralds and welcomes the unveiling of women in maritime security in Nigeria. Can you stand, please?
The event provided an atmosphere for networking with enough to eat and drink, as the maritime space encounters the beginning of a new era of women who are determined to take the maritime space by storm in a bid to impactfully change the status quo for women, ensuring that the female maritime practitioners are heard. Let's celebrate the birth of WIMS Nigeria.
Women in maritime security! Women in maritime security!
WIMS Nigeria, the god of the blue economy.